Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Live Well and Stay Healthy Wellness webinar series brought to you by the Family and Community Health Sciences Department of Rutgers Cooperative Extension. My name is Rachel Tansey, and I am with the Family and Community Health Sciences here in Monmouth County, and I will serve as your host today. Joining us is also Joanne Kinsey, and she will help us in the end of the presentation doing the Q&A session. And I will also like to introduce to you Christine Zellers. She will do the presentation today on sleep secret, certainly a topic we can all benefit from. Family and Community Health Sciences, or FCHS. FCHS provides outreach in New Jersey and beyond on topics related to nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness. We hope you will visit our website for nutrition and wellness related resources and follow us on social media. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Christine Zellers. Christine is the Family Community Health Sciences County Educator in Cape May County. Down in Cape May, she educates the community on wellness, nutrition, and fitness. She has extensive experience collaborating with partners to create healthy environments in the areas of policy systems and environmental change. In addition to community health policies, Chris works to educate residents on topics to improve their overall health and prevent chronic disease with a holistic approach to a well-lived quality lifestyle that includes physical activity, a nutrient-dense diet, and quality sleep. Today, she will help us get a better understanding on some of those sleep secrets and go through a few of those discussions and strategies. So without further ado, I will hand things off to you, Chris.
Thanks, Rachel. Thank you both, Rachel and Joanne, for having me today. Appreciate you asking me to present on this topic. It's always a popular topic, probably because so few of us are able to get the good night's sleep that we sometimes crave or need. So hopefully you'll find some tips here. I'm going to go through some of the research, but just some of the objectives that we're going to cover today in the Sleep Secret presentation is I'm going to give you a background of sleep and, some science behind it and the benefits of it. And then we're also going to talk about what the research says about sleep. And then I'm going to give you some common better sleep practices or tricks. And some of them, we know they're out there. Some of these seem obvious, but once you put them into practice, they might be a little more effective if you are trying to seek that good night's sleep that so many of us are. So a lot of times we're chasing sleep. Sleep has become more and more fleeting for Americans as stress and worry contribute to tossing and turning during the night hours. And, sometimes people tell me that they can't fall asleep at night. Some people say they can't stay asleep at night, or they're not getting a good, restful, quality sleep. All of these things are very important. And according to a BMC public health research article, approximately 60 million Americans are affected by chronic sleep disorders and sleep problems that can impair physical well-being and cognitive function. So if you're one of those folks that isn't sleeping at night, you're not alone. And chronic insomnia is generally defined as difficulty initiating or maintaining sleep for a period longer than 3 weeks. So if you're one of those folks, everybody has those little periods where maybe they're sick or not feeling well, or they're stressed or something like that, or something's happening that you might not be able to sleep well. But if you're feeling this for more than 3 weeks at a time, or if it's something that's really chronic for you going on, then maybe it'd be a good idea for you to consult with a physician to see what things they might be able to do to help you with this. And try some of the techniques that I'm going to give you today and see if they might help you as well. Briefer periods of sleep disruption, as I've said, are most often due to stress or due to an acute illness of some sort. But no matter how you look at it, the science of sleeping, I think that we can all agree that a good night's sleep is a great thing. You wake up feeling revived and refreshed, and it helps with our focus during the day. But if you're not getting that good quality sleep during the day, it really can, especially for a prolonged period of time, it really can make it difficult to function at your highest level or at a healthy level. So, again, if you're having that disruption for a short term, that might happen. We'll look at some ways to help with the sleep patterns. But if it's something that's really going on, you should check in with the doc. So to frame this discussion on sleep, I thought it'd be a good idea for everyone to have a better understanding of the sleep stages. So you might have heard of these, you might recognize some of the terminology that's on the screen right now. But this will give you a little indication of what's happening when you're sleeping, or maybe what's not happening when you're sleeping, to let you know what's happening, like a little bit of the science behind it. The first thing that you really want to realize is that we are on a schedule that's based upon the Earth's rotation. So much like animals, the critters living out in the forest, our bodies receive a signal from the light and dark changes each day and each night, telling us when we should be sleeping. So our body functions around these cues of light that we get. So, it changes a little bit. And at this time of year, it's getting a little more darkness in our lives because of the season. But this function around the cues of light is called the circadian rhythm. And you might have heard of that. And when we enter sleep during these we enter sleep during the circadian rhythm, during these cues. There's several different stages to that. And the two stages of it are the rapid eye movement and the non-rapid eye movement stage. So rapid eye movement is commonly referred to when discussing sleep, and REM, or it's called rapid eye movement, or sometimes you'll hear REM. During rapid eye movement, we're asleep, and that's the most restful sleep. And at this point, this is where we dream. And I know sometimes people say, "Oh, why don't I remember my dreams?" or "Why do I remember my dreams?" That's a deep dive lesson. But sometimes if you're remembering dreams or having scary dreams, you might be a little stressed out. So that could be an indicator, that you want to try to take a little bit better care of yourself and reduce some of your stress. Other changes take effect to our body and mind as well during the rapid eye movement stage. For instance, our eyes move rapidly or quickly, thus the name. We also have fast and irregular breathing at this time, and our heart rates increase, probably to about walking level. Your heart rate can go up. The body temperature changes during REM. Blood pressure can increase as well. The brain increases oxygen flows. And the face and limbs can twitch. And I used to know when my kids would always say, "Oh, stay with me till I fall asleep." And I could tell that they were starting to twitch. They were falling asleep, right? Because they're going into that REM phase. The other thing that's interesting about REM is it also can cause temporary paralysis. And that's because the spinal cord ceases movement in the arms and legs, and that's to protect us from acting out our dreams. So remember I said early on that REM is when the dreams are happening. So our body automatically is protecting itself. And that time frame where you're stopped from acting out your dreams because there's slight paralysis of the arms and legs is called the paradoxical sleep. So again, that stops us. Think if you're having a dream, sometimes they're really involved. So if you're having this dream and you get up and move, you're liable to hurt yourself. So that's how our body automatically helps us out and make sure that we don't get hurt by putting us into that slight paralysis there. Despite all the changes that happen in REM sleep, it is beneficial for us. So it can last about 60 minutes and it can be intermittent during the night. And it also supports, learning and memory mood during that time frame. So you might not feel yourself if you're lacking sleep in that time, in that REM part of sleep, because, it is shown to affect our mood. So it's an important thing, not just for our physical health to get that sleep, but obviously for our emotional health as well. Then to move on to that non-REM or non-rapid eye movement, that begins when a person has not started REM yet. So it's a kind of a precursor stage. It usually lasts about 10 or 15 minutes, and it occurs in stages throughout the night. So kind of, again, in and out of non-REM, just like we are with the REM sleep. There's 4 stages to non-REM sleep. And in that first stage, people are awake or they're in a light sleep. So, you're just kind of settling in and kind of starting to doze off, I guess is a good way to say that light sleep. Then in the second stage of the non-REM, it's a deeper sleep. And that's when the heart rate and body temperature starts to fall. And then in the third and fourth stages of non-REM, muscles begin to relax and the blood to muscle increases. And this is where our body starts to repair and grow tissue. And this phase is really helpful to replenish and restore energy. And this is also when hormones are released. So as we get older, we don't have as much non-REM sleep. Unfortunately, people who are under 30 usually get about 2 hours of restorative sleep a night in that non-REM stage, while those over 30 might only get 30 minutes a night. And we'll talk a little bit about the different reasons for that as we move forward. But, as we age, we do tend to get a little less of that as we sleep. So just a little background there for you on that. I hope that was helpful, give you a little idea of some of the things going on as you sleep. So what does this good night's sleep actually do for us? How does it benefit us? I know, I've asked people when I do this presentation, either in person or, I ask them, I'll put in the chat, how do you feel when you get a good night's sleep? And I always equate it. I remember when my children were little, and that first night the baby sleeps through the night and you wake up and you're like, you feel so good, but you're also kind of startled because you're like, wait a minute, is the baby okay? What happened? Where's the baby? Because you slept all night and you really got that good night's sleep. And I know that a lot now too. When you get up during the day, how you feel, if you had a good night's sleep or if you did not, and how it affects you. But now that you understand the differences between REM and non-REM sleep, let's talk a little bit about more about those physical and emotional things that happen to us. Sleep's really important. And I know, when my kids were younger and myself too, if they didn't get that good night's sleep, they were moody the next day, right? They were a little cranky. They weren't real happy, maybe crying about things they usually wouldn't be upset about. Same with us, as adults, that lack of sleep can really cause a lack of energy for us, and really not help us to focus and really impact our mood and make us overall, feel sluggish. When a person doesn't get a good night's sleep, the effects can take both a physical and emotional toll. So for instance, a journal article that was published on a study in the annual review of clinical psychology found the relationship between sleep and emotional brain function. And they indicated that sleep improves our emotional brain function. And again, I can feel sad or angry or really, quick to react if I don't have that rest that I need in the evening at the nighttime. So it can impact that emotional health, and it's important to recognize that. And again, if this is a long-term thing for you, that it could really be something that really needs you to check in on, because it might be something where you're not feeling quite right emotionally, and it might be because of your sleep. So it might be a good idea to get a checkup if that's at hand for you and that's happening. And just like with diet and exercise, you want to start by determining how to get restful sleep, trying to do some things to put that in effect. People usually don't try to change their food consumption to more nutrient dense food really quickly and in a way that they don't really know what they're doing or without a plan. And it's the same for your sleep. I'm going to give you some tips, like I said at the end, but have a plan for how you're going to, get more sleep so that it's more restful and more quality to help with that emotional health. Also check, if there's a problem getting the good sleep, trying to determine what came first. Was it the bad mood or the emotional, being emotionally unhealthy, or was it because of sleep? Because they kind of interact with each other. So you have to keep an eye out so you can speak to the doc about that. A good night's sleep can also support our memory and our memory functions. So I know when I'm here at work and I haven't had a good night's sleep, I have a really hard time. Like, wait, did I email Rachel that stuff or did I not? So it's hard to concentrate, and it can cause errors in our perception, and that can cause errors in your ability to keep yourself safe. So it's an important thing to make sure that you get that good night. Studies are also being done on the relationship between chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease and their link to sleep or sleep deprivation. And these studies are not yet fully conclusive, although there is a proposed link between chronic disease and sleep habits. The difficult part really comes out when we're trying to determine which caused which. So was the chronic disease caused by genetics or nutrition or poor nutrition or sedentary lifestyle, or was it caused by sleep? So there's many factors that can cause these different chronic diseases. But then the other side of that coin is, did you have a chronic disease that is now causing you, a hard time sleeping or something like that? So they're looking at those links, but there seems to be an apparent link between them, but they're just not able to determine at this point what is what, because there could be so many different factors contributing to those chronic diseases. But in the end, they do help to support a healthier lifestyle. In a Science Direct article, sleep and exercise, are really a reciprocal issue, meaning that if you get a good night's sleep, that can assist with a better workout or better physical productivity too. So in the article, they state that poor sleep can contribute to a poor physical performance. And if you think about that, when you get up to do your workout in the morning, if you had a bad night's sleep, you're not going to want to get up to work out. But and again, how it goes kind of cyclical here on us. If you didn't work out, you might not get a good night's sleep. So, something to keep in mind if you're, especially for the kids who are involved in athletics and sports, it's sometimes hard to get them to bed, but it's an important part of their performance if they want to do well in an athletic way, or if just for adults, like in their exercise routines and things like that. A good night's sleep is important for that. A good night's sleep can also help to balance sugar levels. So interesting enough, we tend to crave sugary foods when we don't have energy, when our bodies are tired. So think about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're getting about there now. Are you craving something sugary? It really could be because you didn't get a good night's sleep, because you're craving energy and you haven't had food. So if that is the case, avoid that sugary item if you can. Have something that's a little bit more nutrient dense, like maybe a piece of fruit, some low fat dairy or something like that, a whole grain cracker, so that we'll get a little boost in the energy without the sugar, and then hopefully that'll help in turn with a good night's sleep, because a good nutrient dense diet can also support a good night's sleep. Since our bodies also slow down when we sleep, our heart rate and breathing during sleep stages, it's been shown that this gives our heart a little break in working so hard to pump up blood through our bodies all the time. So that can lead to better heart health. So all these are benefits, that good night's sleep that help out with different, chronic diseases and different things that happens throughout the day for us, all relate back to that good night's sleep. So there's extensive research on sleep, and that can include very scientific and medical information that provides a vast discussion on the study of sleep. But for purposes of this discussion, I really wanted to cover some of the questions the audience here might have with what the research says. So I pulled things out. And as I mentioned, there is evidence-based science indicating that sleep can have an impact on our daily lives and activities, including our health and our emotional and physical health in that area. So to dive in just a little bit deeper on some of those general questions, there's not really an exact amount of sleep recommended for people. However, most adults do need between 7 and 9 hours per night. And if you're not getting that, I'm going to give you some tips on how you might be able to get that, to try to fit in that 7 to 9, because the 7 to 9 area is going to make you feel a little bit more rested and hopefully help with some of the things we mentioned in the last slide. Babies sleep a lot, as we all know, and that's because they're growing and they're developing, and they could need upwards of 16 to 18 hours per day of sleep because, they're going through that extreme growth, especially as they're little tiny babies. School-age children need about 9.5 hours per night. And again, because they're growing and developing as well, but not quite as much as babies are. So, it's important to have kiddos in bed and getting that rest that they need so they're successful in their schoolwork and all their activities and the things that they do in their development. As we age, we sometimes sleep less due to certain medications. Usually after the age of 60, sleep will become shorter and more interrupted by wakings and even a lighter type of sleep, as I talked about earlier. So that is kind of normal as we age. It's not fully understood why we don't always remember dreams, but I figured dreams might be something that comes up, as one of the questions that we might see in this, that you might all have out there. Dreams help us process emotions, and people who have a lot of stress or anxiety are much more likely to have frightening dreams. Dreams are most vivid during the REM stage, as I mentioned, but they can happen at other times during the sleep stages. So, if you're finding you're having a lot of dreams that are, scary or frightening or things like that, then you might want to look at your stress levels and how much stress is in your life and how you might better manage your stress to stop that, because if you're having frightening dreams, then you're probably not getting a really good night's sleep either. And it could, again, circle back to that stress. Studies also are being done to show the relationship between sleep deprivation and chronic disease, as I talked about in the last slide. And people who are chronically sleep deprived could be more likely to be overweight. They could have a stroke, cardiovascular disease, infections, and certain types of cancers, according to the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. So they're still studying, this information as well in relationship to Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease, and how they correlate with sleep. They're trying to find out with all of these chronic diseases, are the diseases caused by lack of sleep, or are the diseases causing lack of sleep? So they're looking at what comes first there, the lack of sleep or the disease. So they're checking that out as well. So that's just a little, chunk again of what is out there about the sleep information, because there is quite a bit of research and science in different areas. But for the purposes of the general public, these kind of cover that gamut of things. So I promised you I would talk a little bit about getting a better night's sleep. And, it's going to probably, if you're suffering through and not able to get a good night's sleep, it's probably going to mean that you're going to need to make some changes to your life. It's not going to be easy necessarily, but sticking with it could really help you out and make you be a little bit better sleeper in the long run. Taking steps to go to bed at the same time every day and wake up at the same time. This one is really critical. I know it's hard for a lot of people, shift workers especially. I have somebody in my life who is a nurse at night, and so it's very difficult for them to be able to sleep right on the schedule, because one day she's up during the day, one day it's night, so it does make it difficult. But having a set schedule, even if it's not the same time, maybe the same amount of hours, so that you can try to get that scheduled, will help. This can help with your internal clock if you get that schedule set for yourself. So going to bed at the same time every night and then waking up at the same time every day is going to signal your body that it's time to sleep. And it's going to help you during the night to stay asleep. It may take a while to be effective. I'm not going to kid you, but it can help you get more restful and complete sleep. What I do is I set an alarm to go to bed every night. We set one to wake up every morning, right? So why not set one to go to bed at night? So I set an alarm at night to go to bed every night at the same time. It gives me that signal, time to settle down, time to get in bed, put everything away for the night, and get there at the same time and get in bed at the same time every night. And it sounds silly. It might sound like a simple solution that's too good to be true, but it really can help. I mean, think about children. They usually go to bed around the same time every night if they want to stay on a schedule, or when you were a child, maybe you did that. So having that bedtime routine and getting to bed at the same time every night, calming yourself down before bed, and then waking up at the same time in the morning is going to help your body to stay in line with that circadian rhythm that we talked about in the beginning of the presentation. So think about how you can get on a schedule, try to get those 7 to 9 hours a day. And what you'll find after doing this, hopefully, is that, if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock every night, then your body, and you're getting up at, 5:36 every morning, your body is going to get into that schedule, and you'll start to just cycle in that way all the time. And it'll help that way. It's also important to try to keep doing this on the weekends. I know it's hard, and you might not want to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night on the weekends, but it could help to get you into that schedule and make you feel a lot more rested. Make sure to exercise every day. And I really can't stress this enough. Think back again to childhood. And if you were a really active child, the days that you spent outside running around, you probably slept really well because you were burning energy. So energy that you were bringing in, you were burning that off, and that was making you sleepy or wore you out, right? So it made you want to be able to sleep. So as adults, we move a lot less and we sit way more. So regular exercise can help to expend that energy and create a better, more restful sleep for us. The recommendations for exercise for adults is 150 minutes to 300 minutes per week. You can do more than 300, that's fine, but they suggest 150 minimum per week of cardiovascular or aerobic exercise. And then an additional 2 days that include strength training. So you might consider, doing 20 to 30 minutes a day, to try to get that exercise in and get more restful sleep, whatever you enjoy doing, whether it's walking or biking or swimming, whatever it is that you like to do. Do something that you like, so you do it. And then you also might want to consider not exercising 2 to 3 hours before bed if that makes you restless. If it puts you out, that's fine, but try to find a time in the day that is not going to interfere with your ability to sleep as for exercise. So whatever that works out to be for you, fits into your schedule. It is really important though, because it's going to wear you out, and it's going to help you to get that sleep at night. Caffeine can prevent a person from sleeping as well. I know people know this too, but this means not only coffee, but sodas and energy drinks. And this is especially true closer to bedtime. So try to avoid caffeine for 2 to 3 hours before bed, or, if it's still not working for you, you might need to take that caffeine out altogether during the day so that you can get that restful sleep. I've had people, when I do this presentation, say, oh, I can sleep, I can drink coffee before bed, it's no problem. But then I wake up in the night. Well, you're waking up in the night probably from the caffeine. So, watch what's going on there, pay attention to it, keep a little journal if that helps. I had couple coffees today, and I didn't drink the last one until 6 o'clock at night. Boy, I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was too late in the day to have that coffee. Maybe you want to enjoy it in the morning instead. Caffeine is a stimulant, so too much will keep you from settling down at night for sure. So it'll stimulate you. So you want to be careful of that. Nicotine is also a stimulant, and sometimes people don't consider this. When a smoker has a craving or an urge to smoke, they're really trying to feed the need for that addictive drug, nicotine. So the body says, oh, I'm anxious, I'm making anxiety, and people think I'm going to smoke the cigarette and it gets rid of my anxiety. And I used to do smoking cessation counseling, and people would tell me, oh yeah, I have it because it helps me to get rid of my anxiety. It's not really getting rid of your anxiety. What it's doing is it's feeding the addiction to the nicotine. So when a smoker has that craving or urge to smoke, they're trying to feed the nicotine addiction. And that's what's happening there. It's not getting rid of your anxiety. It is not doing anything but probably making you want more nicotine because of that addiction to the nicotine. So what you want to do there is, if you can, try not to be on demand for the nicotine feed by quitting smoking or quitting vaping or, cigars, whatever it is that you might be consuming nicotine from. We're really fortunate in the state of New Jersey to have quit centers throughout the state of New Jersey that offer free services. They offer free smoking cessation. They offer free nicotine replacement therapy to help you with your quitting. So if you're interested in trying to quit smoking to help you to get better sleep, you can reach out to one of those quit centers for you. And I will put in the, I'll send to Rachel the link, which is tobaccofreenj.com/quit smoking, and that'll give you a list of all the quit centers, so you can find one in your county or one in a close by county. New Jersey is one of 2 states in the nation that has this ability to have the free quit centers. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of it if you do need to quit nicotine. And the thing about it is nicotine will wake you up at night. So you might not realize why you're getting up, but you're getting up because, again, that addiction that I referred to, that addiction to nicotine, is calling out, making you anxious while you're sleeping, making you have a disruptive night of sleep, and then you get up to smoke. And that's because you need the nicotine to feed that addiction. So just something to think about there if you or someone you love is a user of tobacco products. Next, some people say that they sleep better when they consume alcohol, but in reality, this too can cause interrupted or unsound sleep. Alcohol it can interfere with our sleep stages that we talked about in the beginning, and that can cause difficulty staying asleep or a lack of a sound sleep. And a study published in the International Society of Addiction Journal shows that the amount of alcohol can have a varying effect on how and when sleep is likely to be disrupted, which can vary with levels of a person's dependency on alcohol. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommends women consume only 1 drink per day and men 2. And although alcohol is a depressant, it can become a stimulant and act to suppress sleep. So you want to make sure that you're not drinking too much or you're not drinking too close to bed to make sure that you're getting that good night's sleep when you are consuming alcohol in moderation. During the day, you want to make time to de-stress, and I de-stress. I know that that's something that's really hard to do. It's easy to say, hard to do. I know that Joanne and Rachel do a lot, as I do, on mindful meditation, but it's really important to take that stress out of your life and find a way to relax. This could mean exercise, as I mentioned earlier, or a hobby that you enjoy, or it can involve maybe meditation or breathing exercises. Taking that break from all that we have going on in the day will really give you the ability to calm down and turn off better at night, so that you're not laying in bed thinking, oh yeah, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. You want to take those breaks during the day, try to get rid of the stress. Some people experience different levels of stress, either short-term or long-term, and managing those stress levels can really support better sleep habits. Conversely, better sleep can help to manage stress too. So again, it's one of those ones that goes a little bit in a circle. You get better sleep, you're less stressed and can concentrate better, and vice versa. So think about that and finding ways to relax yourself. Everyone's living conditions are different, but making your sleep area one for sleep is helpful to, kind of turn yourself off and be able to sleep well too. So for instance, if you're working from home and your office is in your bedroom, try to make that area clutter-free so that you're not laying in bed seeing Post-it notes all over your desk while you're trying to sleep, calling you saying, come here, you got to do this, this, and this. So that you're able to distress from work issues. And if you have a computer in your room, turn it off so that, or move the laptop into the other room if it's a laptop, so you're not hearing it all night long or seeing it or thinking about it. It's really important that we have that time away, like I said in the last section here, to do something to relax, and unplugging yourself from your work or your computer and having your area be something that's unique for sleep is important. Also, unplugging yourself is important. I feel like I'm saying this more and more in my presentations on being well these days. We're constantly plugged into some type of technology, especially, with work. We always have email on our phones. People are working from home. So we're really plugged in, and it seems like the workday can sometimes just never end. So you need to take time to remove yourself from technology to get a better night's sleep. Try turning off your phone early or turning off your tech items. And sometimes, I found, like, for a while before bed, I was just scrolling on my phone or playing a game or something like that. And I thought, oh, well, that's something that'll relax me. But the light from your phone, again, can mix up that circadian rhythm because it's a white light or a blue light that gives off that idea that it's earlier than what it is. So being on that device, and blasting back in your face can really give you the idea or the feeling that it's a different time of day than it is. So you want to try to unplug and get rid of that technology so that you're feeling a little more relaxed. Try, keeping your technology also plugged in somewhere else if you can do it. Not having buzz and bings all night long because your phone's going off. That is helpful. One of the things I had recommended to a friend that she did, she was getting email or text messages at 4 o'clock in the morning with people calling out at work. So then she's worried about covering the shifts and all that kind of stuff at work. I said, put your phone on the sleep mode or the do not disturb mode so that people aren't buzzing in at all hours of the night, because people might wake up sick in the middle of the night and text you and say, I'm out, I can't come in, whatever. That's going to disrupt your sleep too. So you don't want to have that. So try to put on do not disturb mode if that is good for you. If you're wearing some type of smart watch or maybe a wearable device for exercise, they can buzz during the night. They can also, my husband wears his at night, and the light goes off on it all night long in my face. So you want to try to take those things off, remove them. Sometimes we don't realize how distracting and disturbing they can be. So try to find ways to set them aside and not have them around, and make that sleep time kind of sacred for yourself. Also, try not to eat a huge meal too close to bed. I know with people's different shifts, again, that can be difficult, but when your belly is too full, it can cause digestion problems or overall discomfort while you're trying to sleep, and your body's trying to digest that food while you're sleeping. So avoid eating a big meal too close to bedtime for better sleep and better comfort. And try to cut off the eating a little bit ahead of time so that your food can digest and you're not feeling so bloated. Also, if you can't sleep at bedtime, we've all been there, you're laying awake and you start thinking about everything that has to happen, or you wake up in the middle of the night, you're thinking about what you got to do tomorrow. If you're laying there awake and you're frustrated, it might be helpful to change your dynamic. So if you really can't get back to sleep, try to change your position, or try to get up, maybe take a warm bath that will make you sleepy, or read a book. Try to do something that'll make you a little more sleepy, or try to do some maybe breathing exercises while you lay there and sleep, so you can focus on your breathing rather than your mind going a mile a minute about everything that has to happen. The next one is watch what you watch. Avoid watching things on TV or your phone before bedtime that might be stressful, or might not let you get rest. So one of my main things is I will not have the news on before bed, because then I lay there and I think about everything going on in the world, and that's really stressful to me. Might not be for you, but whatever your stressor is, don't watch that before you go to bed. That might also include avoiding stressful or difficult interactions with people in the family or people at work, outside of bedtime areas. So if there's a conversation that needs to be had that's a little stressful or uncomfortable, you might want to have that earlier in the night so that you can move on and bring yourself down from it, so that you get the optimal rest that you need. Or you might want to wait until the next day to have that conversation. And it's okay to say that. Like I've said that to my husband. I've said, look, I can't talk about that right now. I'm settling in for the night. So can we check back in tomorrow on this subject? And we'll go over it then. And, he understands, because he knows I have a hard time sleeping myself. So, if you're one of those people, it's okay to say that nicely to someone else and say, hey, can we just check in on this tomorrow so I get a good night's sleep and can think about it. If you do have long-term sleep issues, I've said it before, see a doctor. Most people describe having some type of sleep issues during their lives, but taking it to the doctor is important if you're really sleepless all the time and it's starting to interfere with your daily life and persist. If you find your mind wandering as you try to sleep and you have a hard time, again, like coming back to actually sleeping, try to find something that relaxes you. So when I did counseling, that people used to say counting sheep. And that's if that helps for you, counting sheep, whatever it is that might relax you. But when I did counseling, I used to suggest to people that they think about an object floating in the wind. So maybe it's a feather or a leaf. So just visualize that feather or the leaf in the wind and how it might just kind of float around, and just think about it as you lay there sleeping and try to follow that. So something that takes your mind off of other things and can be relaxful, and it's not bringing other outside stress into your life. That might also mean that leaf is floating around and then, oh, here comes, I didn't run the dishwasher back in. If that thought comes into your mind, absolutely fine. Our mind is meant to think. Just try to swipe it out and go back to the leaf floating in the air rather than the dishwasher. Dishwasher is still going to be there in the morning to be run. So no problems. So, keeping all this information in mind, try to find things that will help you to sleep better. I would always consider starting out with taking time to set up a time frame. So start with that bedtime every night and getting to bed at the same time every night if you can, and decompressing before you get into bed at night in some way by unplugging. And the exercise, they're two really critical ones that a lot of people don't recognize their importance for helping you to get a good night's sleep. I knew sleep aids would probably be one of the questions that came up when I was writing this presentation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about these. As I mentioned in the last slide, there's so many things that you can do to be able to get to sleep and have a good night's sleep. So before you try a sleep aid, it's always the best thing to exhaust all avenues of trying to find the root of the problem. Are you having stressful situations that are keeping you from sleeping? Are there ways that you can find to be less stressed through exercise or yoga or consulting a professional about your emotional health? Try to find any other way you can before seeking a sleep aid. And then I'm going to tell you, when you do go and want to think about a sleep aid, you need to check with your doctor first. There's sleeping aids out there. They can have varying degrees of effectiveness and side effects according to the research on sleep and sleep aids. So you need to make sure to check with your doctor to make sure that they're not going to interact with anything that you are currently taking. And you can use too much of those products. So again, important to talk to the doctor before doing it. So I would say it's a definite last resort after you speak to the doctor. Remember also that just because something's natural does not mean that it's safe or good. Poison ivy is all natural, but we don't want to be taking that. So, and eating that. So you want to make sure that you're informed. You're consulting with a doctor because it worked for a friend does not mean that it's right for you. You should use medical science behind it. And, the studies that I read really concluded that there was no evidence, firm evidence that sleep aids work even. So you might be just wasting your money anyway. So talk to a professional before you do anything. They're not shown to be effective. We produce melatonin naturally, and following those, circadian rhythms that our body have by getting to bed at the same time, getting up, producing hormones from exercise. Those are the things that are going to make you sleep and are, evidence-based. So you want to definitely do those things before consulting the doctor or trying any of these other things. And that's really important. Those tricks that I showed you in the last slide could be a lot more effective than anything else that you try over the counter. So to conclude today's discussion, sleep can really help us with our mood. It can help to prevent some diseases they're showing. It can make us feel better, right? Who doesn't want to feel better from a good night's sleep? And there's a lot of measures that we can take with all parts of our life and health to make sure that we're doing what needs to be done to sleep healthy and be healthy overall and prevent disease. These are the references that I use for today's presentation, which there's, like I said, there's a ton of sleep information out there. So, and this is my contact information. If any of you have any questions you think of after the presentation, you're welcome to contact me and I will be glad to try to answer those for you.